Well, hello and welcome to episode 18 of our backyard garden in the South Carolina upstate. It is June 6th, 2024, and we're going to show off our backyard here in just a second. I always start in the same spot, but I want to show off our snapdragon here. It was grown up out of the cement just from seed. And it's the most prolific snapdragon that we have anywhere in the garden. So I've always tried to start with that one at the beginning of our video because it's kind of hard to see behind the car. And then we come down here. Now these were all irises that have finished up. This whole hillside was full of color a few weeks back, but it's all done now. But similar to the other one, to the snapdragon, we have a cleome growing here. It's about to start to flower, coming up out of the concrete. We had a vinca in the exact same spot, and it was one of the most prolific ones that we had in the whole garden. It's funny, I always say we have the most fertile driveway in the city, but these cleome are really remarkable plants. They have all come from seed. We put in a few a number of years ago, and they reseeded, and then in the last year they've just taken off, and you can kind of see, we call this our cleome forest here. This is probably a good 3 times larger than what we had last year, and it's just awash with this kind of combination of light pink and light purple. Absolutely beautiful. Now these will keep getting taller and taller through the season. Eventually they become kind of spindly and weird looking, but it's worth it because they go to seed and then they reseed, and this area will continue to get a little more dense. We have kind of a little dead zone there, which oddly enough is where most of the flowers were growing last year. So we're hoping that will fill in, and they have spread over into this area as well. We have a lot of them here. Unfortunately, our lawn person came in and sprayed weed killer last week, and did manage to kill off some of the ones that were growing in odd places, and we had them down here in the stones around our fire pit. Unfortunately, they're not doing too well right now. I don't know if they're going to survive or not. Probably not. But then again, coming up out of the bricks, we have some here starting to flower. We have others over here, so we're going to have plenty of pink all through the garden sooner than later. Well, we already do to some extent. Now over here, as we start down the main part of the garden, we have knockout rose, yellow. It was starting to come out with a lot of new buds as of last week. You can kind of see them here. This was awash with color back in the spring. We haven't deadheaded it, and it's starting to get some black spots, so it's going to have some problems. The other issue are our Japanese beetle enemies. So we need to get some 7 out and take care of those. 7 is the best insecticide for Japanese beetles. And on future episodes, you're probably going to see a lot of our flowers covered with white powder, and that's to keep the Japanese beetles off. And here is the first of our 4 white hydrangeas in the backyard. They're starting to get their buds now, so it won't be too long before we have our flowers. And these put out huge white flowers, which will be really fun to watch as the summer progresses. Here we have a liatris, which is starting to, or at least getting ready to start to bud, or bloom rather. We put the bulb in earlier in the year, and so that'll be fun to watch. Another hydrangea here, and then this Asiatic lily. Apparently I always get that wrong. My wife Jenny tells me I say Oriental when it should be Asiatic, and vice versa, but we have both. These are just about finished. This will probably be the last week that we have these yellow ones, but we have a lot of others in the front and the back that will be blooming later on. So we're going to continue to have more color as the summer progresses. Here is the very last of our digitalis. Now last year we had digitalis blooming really throughout the summer. This year it looks like they're all spring, like they're supposed to. That tends to be the case sometimes when you get them at a gardening center. They've been grown under artificial conditions, and their normal cycle is kind of off a little bit, but normally it's just a spring flower, and that appears to be what it's doing. And here we have some Johnny jump ups, the little tiny pansies hanging in there for a little bit longer. They're probably going to wither and die with the heat in another few weeks, but amongst those are a bunch more oriental lilies.
There's some good climbing red roses over here.
Now, on that note, I hear my wife Jenny. She was in our first video earlier today. She's the architect of the whole thing, and
Saying that everything needs to be deadheaded. It looks awful. It's an in-between stage, but here's another climbing rose that is blooming. This is what was on top of the arch. I got these bare root for $6.99 at Walmart, and if you put them in good soil, there you go.
absolutely. So she is spraying fungicide on all of these. All of our roses really are subject to some degree of black spot, some more than others.
This is organic.
Garden Safe Fungicide 3 for those of you keeping track.
Unfortunately, when you have Japanese beetles, you either pick them off yourself and put them in a glass of soapy water if you want to be organic, or you just get out 7 and try to put them where you see the Japanese beetles. Never ever put a Japanese bag in your yard. It will just get Japanese beetles from surrounding miles into your yard. Never do that.
Yeah, we learned that the hard way when we lived in Ohio. We put the bag of bugs out, and they do attract the bugs, but unfortunately not just the bugs in your yard, but bugs from, as she said, sometimes a mile away. They have amazing ability to smell and be attracted, and they will come from everywhere. And then the ones that don't end up in the bag are going to end up on your plants. So it's unfortunately not a terribly effective approach to pest control. So I'm going to come back up here and finish this section. We have a number of different types of plants. A lot of things have kind of gone into dormancy for the time being. We have a petite knockout rose here. It's doing pretty well. It's more or less covered by clematis right now. The clematis are not doing anything. They were covered with flowers earlier in the year, but right now they're just kind of holding off. We have a butterfly bush here. Not sure what this is going to do. I don't think it's quite finished, but there isn't a lot on it right now. A few of these bright purple flowers. There are more on its twin over here, but I think, and a butterfly. How do you like that? Actually, it's more of a moth, but I think as I look over here, we do still have a few buds, so we're not completely done yet. This one doesn't bloom for terribly long, unfortunately, but it's absolutely worth having for that bright color. It's so fun to look at. Got more Asiatic and Oriental lilies coming up here. These are bulbs that we just put in a few weeks ago, and they're doing pretty well. One thing that's very important, you have to spray these to keep the rabbits away, and even as I have sprayed them, some of them are having a little bit of trouble, but rabbits will eat these, or if you have a deer problem, that's even a bigger issue, and so you've got to spray them with liquid fence or whatever product you like to keep rodents and other things away. Apparently these are very tasty when they're coming up. And here we have some more lilies that are going to be blooming in another few weeks. We have a big red knockout rose here, which was bright, covered with bright red blooms a couple months back, and it also had beautiful white clematis mixed with it. It was quite a thing to see. A lot of fun, but both plants are kind of dormant right now. We have a ground cover lemon or yellow rose here. Got a lilac behind that. It's just sort of growing right now, not a whole lot going on there. And we have our Giacomini clematis, just a few flowers out there up on the fence, giving us a little bit of background color. But most of the clematis are kind of at an in-between phase right now, not doing a whole lot. This is the first of the daylilies back here. Beautiful hybrid. We got this at a daylily farm near here. You don't usually see these kind at the box stores. You have to either order them online or go to a local place that sells or specializes in daylilies. And there are literally hundreds of variations of daylilies, probably in the thousands, honestly, because they're constantly breeding new ones with different colors, different patterns, sizes, ruffles, scent, all that. Here you have another beautiful yellow and purple daylily, orange and maroon here. This is one of my favorite things in the garden. Daylilies are just gorgeous. We had about 40 or 50 different varieties when we lived in Ohio, and we've been slowly coming back to that number. We probably have 30 now down here, but we're hoping to get more in the future. Nice peach colored one here, beautiful lemon yellow down here, and then another one that's really unique, yellow and sort of a pale maroon color, very interesting. And since we're on that subject, we're just going to continue over here and show off these daylilies, a little more traditional color pattern, the bright red and the yellow. There's some other peach ones in there, some peach ones here, doing very well. And then these, again, very ornate with the ruffles and the stripes and so forth. And next to that is an Asiatic lily that is not terribly prolific. There are a couple more buds there, but I'm not sure if this plant will give us the same color or not. But these white petals with the maroon colored specks are really beautiful. Didn't want to forget our astilbe. These are doing well, but they're getting close to the end of their run. Some of them have already finished up, like these. These were sort of a very pale pink color. Then we've got the bright purple here, and these were peaking last week. They're already starting to kind of brown up a little bit. Then we have pink ones back here, and we had some red ones over here. These were the first to bloom, and they're all done now. But we have 4 distinct colors of astilbe. Great plant for the backyard. They're very low maintenance. They do well in good soil and shade, and they give you these beautiful flowers. Also in there are some lamb's ear. I talk about those every week. It's kind of a unique little ground cover plant that does every once in a while put up some flowers here, kind of an odd little stalk with little tiny purple leaflets on it. And then as we continue down into the shady area, down our little pathway here, we have hostas down at the very end, and hiding in the back here is a wisteria that I didn't think was going to survive last year, but it did. It didn't bloom this year, but I think it will next year. And we have a lot of black-eyed Susans growing in the mulch here. These have just come up by seed because we had black-eyed Susans down in the regular part of our, or terraced part of our garden the last couple of years, but they're starting to spread out. They're very prolific in terms of spread. Some of them are really turning pretty big pretty fast. Wisteria here doing very well. Gave us some nice blooms earlier in the year, and then we're going to come over to the terraced part of the garden in a moment. But as we continue along here, it's trying to finish this up before too much longer. We're getting a lot of clouds. It was pretty nice when we started, and over here it still is just sort of partly cloudy, very pleasant, about 80 degrees right now, but there is some rain not too far away. I'm hoping to get this finished up before too long. Now here we have a type of daisy, and we don't really know exactly what kind of daisy it is. It's very, it spreads very nicely. These are Shasta daisies over here. I have gotten that wrong in the past. I've tended to call all of these Shasta daisies, and they're not. I don't know what these are. If any of you are watching and you know what these are, please let us know. We've got another big one over here. It's getting ready to start to bloom pretty soon, but it's huge. It's really taken off on this little corner area. And then here is our big knockout with the blood red blooms. At any given time, it's always got some flowers on it. Some areas are kind of in between right now, like down in here. But you're looking at this, you'd never know that this thing was eaten. About half of it was destroyed by deer coming through the area during the winter. But it has come back with a vengeance. Here we have climbing pink rose, little tiny blooms on this. This is one of the few times in the season that it's not got at least a few blooms, but it will probably by next week. It's already got some buds up here, so there will be more flowers before long. And as we come around the other side of the trellis here, we have a whole wall of jasmine. These were blooming a few weeks ago, but they're done now. And over on this side, we have more jasmine. We're going to see these again in a moment. And then on this side, actually we have a few little jasmine growing up through here. And then some clematis, climbing roses, just a whole combination of things. Now, there is some dead vegetation back in here, and this is because we had some poison ivy, and Jenny got a nasty case of blisters from that. I've done my best to spray it, but unfortunately got a few of the clematis as well. But I would rather have a couple of dead plants than have poison ivy all over the place, and poison ivy is hard to eradicate, as probably most of you know. Here we have a really interesting climbing rose, these beautiful pink flowers, and there are plenty more to come here. As you can see, this is already about 6 feet tall. It's lost most of its leaves to about black spot, and yet it continues to put out flowers. This one has kind of struggled with bad Japanese beetles over the years, so we have to constantly be on the lookout for both fungus and insects. Now I hear the raindrops falling, so I'm going to try to speed through the rest of this. We have Veronica here, these tall purple spikes, and they're doing very well. Bumblebees absolutely love this, as you can see. And then we've got calla lilies, beautiful orange and pink over here. Okay. Other things going on back here, Sweet William, which is a variety of dianthus, doing very well back here. Some little miniature zinnias doing really well. But I started to mention, I always talk about these calla lilies. We have a number of different colors of those. Pink over here. We have a number of different ones up higher in the garden. This one has just come up. I believe this was yellow, hasn't bloomed yet, but we'll see what it does before too long. We have some more oriental lilies coming up back in here, so I don't step in that area. Not to mention, we've got some more calla lilies that are just breaking ground, and you don't want to step in there and accidentally crush them. So I just keep my distance back here on the stones and hope for the best. Now here we have another calla lily, kind of an unusual color. Some pink roses, Shasta daisies back in there, and then this butterfly bush still doing very well, giving us some really nice, fairly big purple flowers, which is wonderful. Now we're getting a thorough dousing, but I'm going to keep going as long as I can. Over here we have gladiolus. These have been around for a few years. We're not getting a lot of flowers with these at this point, but they will, a few of them will keep putting out flowers. We took a couple of them inside. These we just put in this spring, so we should get some nice flowers out of these when the time comes, maybe in another few weeks. We have a beautiful clematis over here, nice pink color. It's about the only one that's really still blooming on a large scale.
That's in the weeds.
Yeah, so we'll come over on the other side and see those. As Jenny continues to weed and be industrious while I'm fooling around here with the camera. We're going to duck our way through here. This is mostly weeds, past the wisteria. A really interesting butterfly just went by. I don't know if I can get him on video. I don't think I can. It's too bad. But under the weeping cherry there, we're going to come back around. This is an area that is not one of our proudest moments. We put in a lot of canna back here. Pretty poor soil. It was just backfill, mostly the typical red clay from this region, plus a lot of stones. And the canna have done okay, but they really haven't flourished. They haven't given us a lot of color. Plants themselves are huge. These red ones in particular, they get to be about 5 feet tall. We get a really relatively minimal number of actual flowers. And we've got one here, one bud that's about to bloom. And with the rain, you're starting to hear some of the frogs that are hiding back in there. If nothing else, the canna give a nice home to frogs and certainly a lot of other flora and fauna. We've got wild daylilies in this area. Got some buds, and these will start to bloom before too long. We've got a lot of black-eyed Susans in here, irises that have already bloomed, and then jasmine, which are still giving us some flowers, but they've peaked. They will be done before too long. Black-eyed Susans here, growing in the stones, and same thing over here. Now these daylilies are doing a little bit better, a little bit bigger. It'll be another probably a couple weeks before they bloom, and then we'll have our midsummer color down here. Even though we're still a couple weeks away from the first day of summer, it comes a little sooner here than what we were used to in Ohio. A lot of these things would be at least a month, if not 6 weeks behind where we are right now. All right, so as the rain continues here, and it's interesting, you can see sun coming through over on that other area, so we may get ourselves a little rainbow here before long. But I'm going to try to finish up for continuity's sake. Water coming through here. That was a big problem a couple years ago. Before I put this pipe in, we were getting, we have a downspout over here, and the water was just rushing down through here and washing away all the plants that we had put in. So we basically started all over again last spring, and it's paid off. Everything's doing really well. Big yellow knockout rose here, Veronica, daylilies as I showed, some phlox, a lot of strawberries back in here. You can see some of those are blooming. Daylilies here, got a number of different types, kind of like we saw elsewhere. Sort of a pale purple color, and then another big calla lily doing really well with the white, and then a bright yellow one here. Got our lilac back in here, another lilac over here, and nice hosta, which is just well, actually it is I was going to say about to start blooming, but it actually is blooming. We're getting some of the nice purple flowers on that, and I think that's worth looking. It looks as if we may be about to get some more lilacs. When we bought this particular type of lilac, it was supposedly going to bloom spring, summer and fall, which is of course unusual. We bought it last year. It only bloomed one time, but it looks like maybe it's going to put out some blooms here before too long, which would be absolutely fantastic if it were to do that. Over here, more of the hybrid daylilies. We've had to move these around a couple times because they weren't doing too well. They were in a lot of shade over in this part of the garden, and this area has gotten shadier as time's gone by with between the hydrangeas and then those big evergreens that our neighbors have. That area was actually a little sunnier just 3 years ago when we bought these things. But we've got the lemon yellow, got some maroon, red and yellow, just a whole bunch of different colors here. Always fun for me to look at these. And then over here we've got some of the pink climbing roses. We're going to get more of those later in the summer, but right now they're kind of in an in-between stage. Some more calla lilies in here. This particular group of Asiatic lilies just finished up this past week, so they're done for the year. And we've got more calla lilies here, an orangish red color, and more that are about to start blooming before too long. And that's really about it. It brings us back to the front. I'm sorry?
I gotta get all my seedlings in.
Yeah, now I'm gonna have a little addition here as part of our garden. I don't usually come up on the deck, but I'm gonna do that today because we have a couple things going on up here. First of all, our little group of geraniums and petunias and verbena that have all come back from seed. And then I mentioned this earlier, our seed factory here with seedlings,
Which I'm
hundreds of them.
typically starting too late for the season, but maybe they'll be blown by October.
Well, so far they have, and so they're doing well. She's been up late, burning the midnight oil, as they say, for the planting of these things. Hundreds and hundreds of them, just in little styrofoam coffee cups, and then as they grow to an adequate size, they're being put in. But you can see a lot of them starting to come up here, and a lot of them are zinnias, but we've got some other things, poppies, cleome, and various other flowers that tend to do well down here. Also have, appropriately enough, some creeping jenny, just a ground cover flower, or not flower, but plant that has typically done pretty well. And so that's about it. Hope it's sunny where you are. It's not here at the moment, but I think it will be. We're not supposed to really get any more rain after today, so hopefully we'll get some more sun soon and our plants can start to flower up again. So until next time, happy gardening.